Well, the big freeze began 3 weeks ago, believe it or not, and shows no sign of abating.
Temperatures in some parts of Britain were as cold as household freezers last night. It was bitter.
In our region, we've been told to expect more snow, with forecasters predicting up to 10 centimetres on Sunday.
Get those spades out. Tonight we meet the people who are battling on whatever the weather, because the old and vulnerable depend on them. Here's Natalie Gray.
It's the coldest winter for 30 years, but people like Jane Harris need to keep going whatever the weather. She's a Meals on Wheels volunteer, and in these conditions, people need her more than ever.
I'm going to see probably about 18 today. Most of them have hot meals, some of them will have frozen meals as well. It's quite difficult getting around, but I'm coping because I'm wearing climbing boots, actually.
These pictures from the air show just how bad things are in Norwich.
Hello, it's cold out there.
It's very brave this morning.
Yes.
Jane's first stop is Bridget Moore, who's 94. Could you manage without it?
With difficulty. I was a cook, so I do know about food, but to have it all done and brought in, we don't even do any washing up or anything. No, it suits me down to the ground.
Last night, parts of Britain were as cold as the South Pole. Not that cold here, but cold enough. That isn't a field of snow. It's actually Whitlingham Broad. Conditions are treacherous, but milkmen just battle through it. Sean Bunn from Lingwood in Norfolk is considered a local hero.
He looks out for everybody, and he's helped a lot of people in the past. Down that road there, he had trouble, and he helped somebody in the snow. He's got time to stop and talk to everybody.
This is what this job's all about. The milkman will get round and keep an eye on all the customers, especially the elderly. You know, you soon know if there's a problem, just tap on the door, make sure they're all right.
And posties too just plough on despite the remorseless cold weather. This is Holt in Norfolk, where the pavements were lethal before they were sorted. Anne Bradley can't see the danger underfoot. She's been blind since she was 11. But a bit of snow is not going to stop her getting out and about.
I have a very restless 2-year-old guide dog who would be climbing the walls if we stayed in. And I've also got sensible footwear, so, you know, between us we've been very safe for the last 3 weeks.
Mrs Moore is OK as well, thanks to Meals on Wheels. And just outside her home, a blackbird was having a fine feast too. Natalie Gray, Anglia News, Norwich.
And the good thing is we are getting plenty of stories about people pulling together at this time of year, which is great. We really
are. In fact, we had a call from a lady called Mrs Betty Banbrick. She's from Colchester, and she's singing the praises of her neighbour Barbara Watts, who has worked tirelessly to help old people in the neighbourhood during the cold snap, which is lovely.
It is absolutely delightful. Right, Rachel will join us now with more on why we're seeing this actual prolonged spell of cold weather right now. Rachel, it was another bitterly cold day, wasn't it?
That's right, bitterly cold, and it does look to be staying that way over the weekend, particularly with a lot of snow around on Sunday, with the risk of up to 10 centimetres or 4 inches of snow. Now, in winter, we do expect to see some very cold temperatures, but the reason for this cold snap lasting so long is because usually in winter, well, we do have high pressure to the south of us and low pressure to the north of us, and that gives us milder westerly winds. But this year, well, those pressure patterns have reversed, and that's introduced very cold easterly winds from across Siberia and the Arctic, and that's why last night we saw temperatures as low as -11 in our region. And it does look to be staying really very cold over the next couple of days. I'll have all the details on this weekend's weather forecast later in the programme.
Rachel, thanks for explaining all of that. Look forward to speaking to you later on. Right, a little bit of news in brief now. And 2 men accused of protesting during a homecoming parade for soldiers in Luton last year have told the court they didn't set out to offend people. 28-year-old Munim Abdul and Shajadar Chowdhury, who's 31, gave evidence in their own defence today at Luton Magistrates Court. They're among 7 defendants who deny using words or behaviour likely to alarm or distress those who heard them. The judge is expected to give her final ruling on Monday morning.
Well, stay with us. It's 14 minutes past 6. That all-important weekend weather forecast is just round the...
Right, more news now from Norfolk, Suffolk and Essex, and police have described a burglary at the home of a murder victim in Southend as sickening. Rosina Waller, who was 88, died on January the 1st when a man entered her home in Thorpe Bay. A man has been charged with her murder. Well, yesterday police discovered that her home has since been burgled in a separate incident. Thieves stole personal items, including jewellery.
Thousands of jobs could be created in the region with the government's approval for a massive new wind farm off the east coast, the second biggest in the world.
The East Anglia array would be bigger than the county of Norfolk, supplying 5 million homes with electricity. Ministers want a third of the UK's energy to be produced from wind power by 2020. Serena Sandhu has this report.
It's no stranger to renewable energy, and now Lowestoft looks set to power the green revolution. A significant amount of Britain's future energy needs will be developed here after the government gave its backing for a new £15 billion wind farm off the east coast.
Offshore wind, along with onshore wind and other renewable technologies, will meet something like 30 or 40% of UK electricity needs by 2020. Ours is going to be a major player within that.
Scottish Power and Swedish company Vattenfall are joint partners in the project. It could bring major investment to the region and create up to 5,000 jobs.
Well, we've lost some of our older businesses, but this is a whole new era opening up in front of us. We've got this Orbis Energy Centre all ready for businesses to move in, plans for a power park, and for once Lowestoft is in the right place.
But it'll mean a dramatic change to the landscape. The East Anglia array is one of 9 offshore wind farms to be developed across the country. It'll be built 15 miles off the North Suffolk and Norfolk coast. The 1,000 turbines will cover an area larger than Norfolk and generate around 7.2 gigawatts of electricity to power 5 million homes a year. That's a quarter of the UK's electricity needs. The Greater Gabbard wind farm is already a major landmark off the Suffolk coast, but once work begins in 2014, this new development will overshadow all others. Serena Sandhu, Anglia News.
Health chiefs have confirmed that 2 patients have contracted Legionnaire's disease at Basildon Hospital in Essex. The hospital says the patients, who were on different wards, have responded to antibiotic treatment, but one of them is still in a critical condition. No further cases have been identified. The hospital was recently criticised for blood-spattered equipment and an unusually high patient death rate.
And one ward at the Norfolk and Norwich University Hospital has been closed following cases of the winter vomiting virus. Mulbarton ward has been closed to new admissions and visitors due to an outbreak of the norovirus.
And another outbreak of the norovirus has forced the Fair Havens Hospice in Southend to close its doors to new admissions. 2 cases have been reported. Only families of extremely poorly patients will still be allowed to visit.
Now in sport, Norwich City manager Paul Lambert insists he's going nowhere despite speculation linking him with the vacant post at Burnley.
Several bookmakers installed Lambert as the favourite to take over at the Premier League club. Not the best preparation for this weekend's game with Exeter. Jonathan Blake has more.
You shouldn't be too surprised that the pitches here at Norwich's training ground are unoccupied. The amount of snow gives an indication of what conditions are like up and down the country. Southend's game against Walsall is already off, as is Colchester's trip to Yeovil, but undersaw heating at Carrow Road means that Norwich's game should be on. The weather could still have a bearing on the match, but it seems nothing will affect Paul Lambert's immediate future with the club, despite strong speculation linking him with a move to the Premier League with Burnley.
I'm not going anywhere, so I'll put that to bed right now. I'm not going anywhere, whatever the case may be, and people might think from League One to the Premiership, everybody would jump at it, and contrary to what a lot of people think, I'm not one just to walk out. I've got a great affection with the crowd here, that's for sure, and the lads are going great, and I just don't want to. It wouldn't be right for myself to do it, and I want to try and take this club as far as I can take it.
And Lambert underlined his commitment to Norwich by unveiling 2 new signings today. Defender Zach Whitbread from Millwall and striker Ollie Johnson from Stockport.
Just looking around the training ground and the ground itself, you can just see what it's all about, and I'm just delighted.
Norwich's game is one of only 2 survivors nationwide in League One, while there are just 6 still on in the Championship, including Ipswich's on Sunday. No, it's not at snowbound Portman Road, but at Leicester, where new goalkeeper Brian Murphy could make his town debut after joining from Irish side Bohemians.
In terms of clubs, been interested in me before, nothing really excited me, you know, and for Ipswich and the manager that's here, you know, the second I knew they were interested and I spoke to him, then I was very impressed, and it's kind of moved on from there.
And after making progress in the FA Cup last week, A victory could move Ipswich 6 points clear of the drop zone. Donovan Blake, Anglia News.